There's a reason you've always felt different, a reason why certain truths call to you while others pass you by. It's not random, it's not coincidence. It's your soul remembering, whispering, that you came here for a reason. Because not all souls are the same. Some are builders, some are seers, some are here to disrupt, others to heal. The ancient mystery schools knew this, but modern life forgot. Today we remember. Today you begin to recognize your soul type. The idea of soul types. Ancient origins. Long before modern psychology, long before personality tests, mystics believed that each soul was imprinted with a unique spiritual function. Not in the sense of status, but of essence, purpose, energetic orientation. In ancient Egypt, Greece, India, even among the Mayans and Sufis, soul types were discussed in whispers. Some called them divine roles, others soul archetypes. But the message was always the same. You are not here by accident. You are part of a pattern older than time. And if you understand your pattern, you unlock the path you were meant to walk, not the one you were pushed into. Soul Type 1, the Guardian. You feel a constant pull to protect, to hold space, to shield others from harm. Even as a child, you may have acted like the emotional guardian for others, friends, siblings, even parents. You weren't trying to control. You just knew when something felt unsafe. You could sense emotional shifts before words were spoken. Guardians are the silent strength of the collective. They don't seek attention. They build foundations. But here's the trap. Guardians often forget their own needs. They absorb pain. They hide their struggles. Their sole lesson is this: you are not just the protector of others. You must learn to protect yourself. Soul Type 2, the Seeker. You've never stopped asking questions. You're not satisfied with easy answers or surface-level truths. You want to know what's behind everything, the why beneath the why. You've explored multiple religions, philosophies, maybe even science and mysticism, not out of confusion, but out of hunger. Seekers are the soul's explorers, the bridge between mind and spirit. But beware, seekers can become addicted to searching, never landing, never grounding. Your soul lesson is this: the truth you seek is already within you, if you dare to sit with silence. Soul Type 3, the Healer. Even before you had the language for it, you felt other people's pain. You absorb moods. You carry weight that isn't yours. And still, you show up, again and again. You've walked through darkness, not to be destroyed, but to understand how to guide others through theirs. Healers don't always wear white robes. Some are sarcastic, rough, even angry. But their core is soft, empathetic, eternal. But here's the cost. Healers often give until they are empty. They confuse compassion with self-sacrifice. Your soul lesson is this: your healing is just as sacred as anyone else's. You cannot pour from an unhealed wound. Soul Type 4, the Disruptor. You've always questioned authority, challenged norms. You were the child who asked why and refused because I said so. You don't fit into boxes, you break them. The disruptor doesn't come to maintain the old. They come to shake foundations, to expose cracks so light can enter. They can be rebels, artists, activists, inventors. But at their core, they are agents of divine chaos. But be warned, not all rebellion is wisdom. Disruptors must learn that true transformation requires depth, not just noise. Your soul lesson is this: don't just destroy, learn to rebuild. Burn with purpose. Soul Type 5, the Creator. Whether through words, art, music, or even how you cook or speak, you bring beauty into the world. You see patterns where others see mess. You birth things. Creators don't always identify as artists. Some are parents, some are visionaries. Some are builders of spaces, moods, cultures. But one thing is true: when they are blocked, they suffer. The world taught creators to get practical, to suppress their gifts. But the soul cannot stay caged. Your soul lesson is this: You were born to channel the infinite. What you make is not for you alone. It's a gift to the world. Soul Type 6. The messenger words. Energy. Vibration. You've always been the voice that others listen to. The speaker, the teacher, the communicator. You bring insight where there is noise. Messengers don't just talk, they transmit. Something flows through them that uplifts, clarifies, awakens. But here's the paradox. Messengers often struggle with their own inner voice. They doubt, they overthink, they fear they're not ready. Your soul lesson is this. When you speak from your heart, not your ego, the right ones will hear you. Always. Soul Type 7. The mystic. You feel the unseen. You've had dreams that came true. You speak the language of symbols. You are sensitive to energy, to places, people, even timelines. The mystic remembers what others forget. They walk between worlds, seen and unseen, carrying fragments of the divine. But this path can feel lonely, misunderstood, disconnected from normal life. Mystics often question their sanity before they realize it's not madness, it's memory. Your soul lesson is this. Trust what you feel. Your intuition is not a glitch, it's your compass. So now you've glimpsed the 7 soul types. You may already feel drawn to one of them, maybe even 2 or 3. But this isn't about picking a label. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. Because your soul type is not a personality trait. It's an ancient signature, etched into the fabric of your essence long before this lifetime. It existed before you had a name, a culture, a role, a face. And though life may have buried it under wounds, beliefs, or roles, it never left. It waits, quietly, patiently, for you to return to it. You see, most people walk through life feeling lost, disconnected, unsure why they feel unfulfilled even when everything looks right on the outside. But the real reason is this. They are not living according to their soul's design. They are playing roles that fit the system, but not the soul. And when you do that for too long, your spirit begins to whisper. First as anxiety, then restlessness, then dreams. Until one day something inside says, there has to be more than this. That's not weakness. That's your soul trying to wake you up. Each soul type carries a specific frequency, a sacred task it naturally radiates into the world. This frequency is not always visible in the beginning. In fact, most people begin their lives running from their type. The healer is wounded. The guardian feels unprotected. The mystic is isolated. The disruptor is shamed. The creator is silenced. The messenger is doubted. The seeker is lost. But here's the beautiful paradox. What you struggle with is the doorway into your deepest power. Your pain is the compass. Your confusion is the map. Your soul didn't come here to avoid challenge. It came here to transmute it. Think about the seeker, always restless, asking endless questions. What if that restlessness isn't dysfunction but sacred drive? What if they are meant to question because their very presence helps others break through illusions? Or the creator, the one who feels misunderstood, impractical, too sensitive? What if they are not broken, but carrying the medicine of imagination the world has forgotten? Or the mystic, often dismissed, gaslit, or told to come back to reality? What if they're not escaping reality at all, but trying to help us expand it? This is why your soul type is not a limitation. It's a liberation. It doesn't box you in. It helps you break free. Because once you know your type, you start making different choices. Not to please others, not to survive, but to align. And when you live in alignment, life shifts. It doesn't become perfect, but it becomes honest. Your relationships change. Your boundaries sharpen. Your path starts revealing itself in pieces like golden breadcrumbs. But people often ask, can I be more than one soul type? And the answer is yes. In essence, yes. You carry echoes of all 7, but 1 or 2 usually lead. They are the strongest notes in the symphony of your soul. And as you grow, evolve, and heal, you may awaken different aspects at different times. A guardian may become a messenger. A seeker may become a mystic. A disruptor may become a healer. But remember this, your soul type is not what you do. It's what you are. It's how your energy moves. It's what you restore to the world just by being authentic. That's why this isn't about forcing yourself into a new identity. It's about returning to your original one, the one that existed before the world told you to be quiet, to fit in, to stop feeling so much, questioning so much, dreaming so much. So, what now? Now you begin to live it, quietly, deliberately, boldly. You notice how you feel around different people. You protect your energy like a sacred flame. You speak your truth even when your voice shakes. You stop pretending to be neutral when your soul is screaming for more. You stop over-explaining your intuition. You follow what pulls you, not what pleases others. And you trust that your soul knew exactly what it was doing when it chose this path, this body, this moment in history. Because we need all 7 types right now. We need the guardians to anchor, the healers to mend, the creators to reimagine, the messengers to awaken, the disruptors to break the old, the mystics to remember, and the seekers to never stop searching. So ask yourself this, what part of you have you been hiding? What soul thread have you been afraid to pull because you feared it would unravel the life others expect you to live? What if that unraveling is your initiation? What if remembering your soul type is not just a spiritual idea, but the very reason your soul chose to come back at all? You are not here by accident. You are not lost. You are remembering. And now the work begins. What if I told you you were never too much, never too sensitive, never too complicated? They just didn't know what to do with a soul like yours. Because the truth is, you weren't hard to love. You were just real in a world that praises performance. You felt deeply in a world that rewards detachment. You gave too much, not because you were weak, but because you believed in something sacred, connection. And somewhere along the way, they made you feel like your softness was your flaw. But what if your softness was your superpower all along? We grow up learning how to speak, how to walk, how to behave. We learn how to perform, how to dress, how to please. But nobody teaches us how to handle being misunderstood by the people we love. Nobody prepares us for the ache of being too much for someone who doesn't even know how to receive. It starts subtly. A delayed text, a forgotten promise, a glance that feels a little too empty. And suddenly you find yourself wondering, did I say too much? Was I too available? So you shrink. You learn to mute your laughter, to soften your light, to edit your truth. Because somewhere deep inside, you believe the lie, that if you were a little less, maybe they would have stayed. But you were never the problem. Your heart was just speaking in a language they hadn't yet learned to understand. You offered presence in a world that offers distraction. You offered honesty in a culture addicted to masks. You showed up raw and real, and that kind of courage is terrifying to those still hiding behind armor. Some people do not want love. They want comfort. They want convenience. They want control. And you offered vulnerability. You offered truth. You offered you. And that was too much for those who had never learned to sit with their own reflection. You were not hard to love, but you may have been hard to manipulate, hard to numb, hard to break, and that's not your burden to carry. So here's what I want you to remember. The way they left has nothing to do with your value. Some people leave not because you were too much, but because they were not enough to meet you there. Let that sink in. You weren't too emotional. You were emotionally honest. You weren't too intense. You were profoundly alive. You weren't too loving. You were exactly what love was supposed to look like. And yet, the world may not always celebrate that kind of love, because the world is still learning to feel again. This is your moment of remembering. You don't need to apologize for the way your soul stretches out like an open hand. You don't need to explain why sunsets make you cry or why a stranger's pain lingers in your chest. You are a mirror to this world, reflecting everything it's trying to forget. And sometimes being a mirror means being alone. But alone doesn't mean unloved. Alone doesn't mean unworthy. It just means your energy is sacred And not everyone has earned the right to sit with it. They will call you dramatic, but you are expressive. They will call you weak, but you are deeply feeling. They will say you care too much, but you care honestly, fiercely, wholeheartedly. The truth is, the people who couldn't love you couldn't even love themselves. They couldn't hold your light because they had never made peace with their own shadow. They walked away not from you, but from the reflection you held up to them. And that takes courage, to be that kind of reflection, to love without games, to speak without filters, to stay soft in a world that tries to harden you every day. So no, you were not hard to love. You were just asking to be loved in a way that was real, present, unafraid. And now this is your season of returning, not to the people who couldn't see you, but to yourself, to the way your heart beats a little louder when something matters, to the way your laughter holds 100 memories, to the way your silence can speak entire chapters. This is your homecoming, to your own tenderness, to your own wild truth, to your unshakable light. Let the world call you too much. Let them misunderstand. Because one day you will meet someone who sees it all and says, that's exactly what I've been searching for. But until then, let your love be your revolution. Now let your honesty be your power. Let your softness be your rebellion. Because you were never hard to love. You were just waiting to be loved right. If these words found a place in your heart, if even for a moment you felt seen, understood, or a little less alone, then this space was made for you. You're not just watching, you're healing, growing, returning to yourself. So if you'd like to walk this journey together, gently tap subscribe and become part of a space where your soul is safe to feel. And if anything in this video resonated, tell me in the comments. I read everyone. Your story, your silence, your strength, it's welcome here.